Welcome everyone. So good to see you on a Monday morning. I'm Elise Witt. I'm coming in from Pine Lake, Georgia, and I'm hosting today. We have kind of an unusual special treat today. It is day 890. Thank you, Carolyn, for always keeping me on track. Welcome everyone. Let's say hello to Facebook Live and hello to everyone in the room. Before I introduce our special guest today, I want to say hello to all of you that are here. Hello to Erin, who's doing our tech. She keeps us looking so good and sounding even better. Hello, Joe, who helps with all of that and everything in our lives. We couldn't do it without her. Hello, Carolyn, who keeps us, 889. Is it 890? Which one is it? Hello, Indians. Sheila in Florida, Dan in Vienna, Kevin in DC, and Susan G. Hello, Nancy in California, Bonnie in Boise, Pauline in Newcastle, UK. Hello, Arlene in Berkeley, and Nancy with your Irish cow, and Mabel with your bears, and Susan in Seattle, Sarah in Texas, and Anne in Maryland. Hello, Sue Free, and Christiana and Bob, also dancing with 890 days. Only 10 more days till day 900. Oh my gosh. Hello, Kathy on Arapaho and Cheyenne land, and Annette and Jim, so good to see you today. Deli and the curly tops, I don't know how many we're gonna see today, one so far. Hello to Claire in Boise and Storm and Anne and Julie and Susan and KB and Bronwyn and Kate and Jenny and Loriana, Kachina and Courtney in Vermont and Bob out in Massachusetts, where I'm gonna be later this week. Hello, Sandy in Western North Carolina, and Ralph in Victoria, Shari in New Hampshire, and Aloysius is connecting to Fred and LMG, and Carol in Connecticut. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Antidote of Song. Greetings, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you again today. We have kind of an unusual guest. He is not so unusual, but our situation is a little different than we usually have on Daily Antidote because he is right here in the house with me. It's Mick Kinney. You all have met him when he played on Jenny Jenkins, and he also played on the Suitcase song, Ready or Not. He is Mick! Here he is. He is a multi-instrumentalist. He's an expert of Georgia fiddle music and all kinds of other things. So I'll let him tell you more about that. Let's welcome Mick Kinney.
Unusual guest.
Very unusual.
But not special. I'm the special master of song today. So this is and I was thinking about something for Labor Day week, and I like to collect Georgia music, and one of the residencies I did was with the West Georgia Textile Trail, and it's like where they have museums. They made museums out of the old cotton mills, textile mills and cotton mills, and then I performed some of the music from those days and about those working conditions, and so this is one that's I'm particularly fond of. It's from Georgia. A lot of you may know it from Hetty West. Did it on Pete Seeger's show back in the 60s, and Hetty West learned it from her father, and her father learned it from the original composer, who is Lester Smallwood, and he was from up in Elijay, Gainesville, North Georgia, and so this song kind of documents the migration of the mill workers that came down to the city to try to find better conditions, better living conditions, and work in the cotton mills and the textile mills. Do I do a demonstration now, or tutorial, yes, or what do we do?
Tutorial.
Tutorial. Okay, well, or background, either one. Okay. So yeah, I actually met Lester Smallwood several times because he was I didn't know that he had written this song at the time, though. He was known as Grandpa Smallwood, which is, everybody in the old time, they always had nicknames. It was Uncle this or Grandpa that or something. Back in the bluegrass festivals, I'd see him. He'd come to the WRFG Peach Blossom festival for the fundraiser for the public radio, and for the community radio station, which we still have in Atlanta. This song it's a very easy span to sing because it's only like half an octave. So it's just like the third note of the scale. It really comes from the Bow Them Cabbage melody. So I'll do a little bit of Bow Them Cabbage first. It's just like I'll do this in the key of G today. If anybody wants to strum along, or there's a. So the basic melody is just the third note of the scale to the fourth. And that's really all there is to it. And so you can pretty much do it in any key and most anybody can reach it in any key. So the original Bow Them Cabbage was bow them cabbage down, turn them whole cakes around. The only song that I can play is bow them cabbage down. I got me a sack of flour and I got me a tin of lard. I got coffee in the kettle and I got sugar in the gourd. Make me a batch of hoe cakes and make them golden brown. Now don't you burn my hoe cakes, girl, you better turn your damper down. And so forth. So there was all kinds of traveling verses with that about the possum and the raccoon and shake them Simmons down and all that sort of thing. And we've got a place in Atlanta that was a Fulton Baggin cotton mill, and they actually call it Cabbage Town. That the story goes that there was a truck that tipped over and rolled cabbages out, and so all the people picked up cabbages and they were cooking cabbages for all season, and they called it Cabbage Town. That was several urban myths about that. But that was a mill town that to this day has a lot of people of Appalachian heritage that still live there, and that mill was working up through the 60s, I believe. So now we do a demo of the actual tune, the actual song. Okay, so so what I've done, what I like to do in my process, my own kind of folk collection process, I like to collect different versions and source them, find out where they come from, and then I'll sort of cherry pick like my favorite stanzas, and so usually what happens is I have some kind of a amalgam of my favorites, and I'll put them in some kind of order that makes sense to me. So this is going to be a combination of some of the ones from Eddie West and then the original Lester Smallwood, which was from 1928. So here we go. So we'll sing it all together now. Is that what we do? Okay. So I'll get out the banjo now, since you heard that was the original. Lester Smallwood did it on the banjo with a harmonica rack. One of the very, very early times that people did that. The old Bob Dylan harmonica rack, and he played the banjo and the harmonica at the same time. Okay, so we'll just play it in one time first. You heard it said to move to the city and you get ahead, but it's a hard time in the cotton mill, it's a hard time everywhere. From Gilmer to Bartow's a long, long way. From time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. Play it. I'd stayed back on the farm. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. You stay in the country and you'll go bust, but to go to the city you get a load full of dust. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. Used to do 2 at a time. It's still dark when you start in the morning, too tired to move when they blow the horn. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. Cotton mill girl never went to school. They just learned to spin and learned to spool. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. Back to back. Hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. Then I stepped out just to get a drink of water, and the boss man says, "Docks me a quarter." It's a hard time in the cotton mill. Hard time everywhere. The workers didn't know what it meant when the wages went up just a half a cent. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. Went up on the wages a few cents more, but they went up a nickel at the company store. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. Worked in the cotton mill all my life, got nothing to show but this Bartow knife. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. Now when I die, don't you bury me at all, just to hang me up on the spinning room wall and pickle my bones in the alcohol. It's a hard time everywhere. Hard time in the cotton mill. Hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere.
Woo! Great, 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 great. So much fun. All right, let me see here. That was so much fun, and it was great to see everybody singing along. Joe pointed out that this song has actually been done here, but as is the case with the folk process, of course, everyone has their own versions of the song. Nora Rhodes, who's a favorite here on Daily Antidote, she studies ballads. She's only 19, so it's really good to have folks that are younger that are.
I studied ballad too, but then I went to tap dance.
Yes, Mick is also a tap dancer. Anyway, because I originally came on to Daily Antidote through the Smithsonian Folklife Archives, and so the Daily is really it's a fun way to hear how songs morph and change over time.
And you get I like to have a daily anecdote every day.
You do have daily anecdotes. That's one of the things I love about you. Can you tell us anything more about the way that you are collecting Georgia music, and also about playing with your sons? Because I know that's one of your favorite things.
Yeah, mostly now I'm forgetting Georgia music. I can't collect anymore. I'm pretty much have an open mind, and it's mostly working this way.
But there's a lot of songs in there. Like how many?
There's quite a few left. But I collect a lot of fiddle tunes from the old fiddlers, and I played with the old fiddlers back in the day. And we never realized that it was like that was the generation that was in touch with the era of Reconstruction and so much early in late 1800s. Like Lester Smallwood is my grandfather's age. He was born in 1900. But then some of the old fiddlers I was hanging around with, they were born before then, and they knew a lot of my folk icon heroes, like Phil and John Carson and people that are household names to my family now. I mean, we would say like, oh, you knew the Skillet Lickers, you knew Gid Tanner, and they're like, oh yeah, we'd go to the football game at Athens, and they'd play on the train, and wow, or they'd play. Yeah, Phil and John would play on the street or at the general store, and so that was back, I guess, when playing folk music's kind of still like it is today, like it's a minor league effort, pretty much. So, but talked about this song process. Yeah, so this was I like to collect my favorite verses and kind of stitch them together. And but let's see, something else about this song that you wanted to know. It's got I thought maybe I'd look into the libretto here, like there's not a whole lot of cryptic stuff in there or double entendres or anything like that, but just to go down like some of the verses just so you can know what they're about. Like the first stanza is pretty self-explanatory, but the second one, from Gilmer to Bartow's a long way, from Elijay down to Cartecay. So that's Elijay is a town in North Georgia. It's in the mountains, and Gilmer to Bartow. So those are talking about the counties. So Gilmer County is up in the up in the North Georgia mountains, and then like down where we are is sort of the Piedmont here in the corridor of the railroads. So that's while the mills were down here at the foothills, and so Bartow County is along I-75. It's like between Atlanta and Chattanooga. So that's Bartow County.
What's Cartecay?
And Cartecay is the river that runs down from the mountains. So from Elijay down to Cartecay, down the Cartecay River. So let's see here. Then there was let's see some of the other verses. Let me see here if we have that. I had to put them in order. So you could go. Oh, so yeah. So yes. If there's a book, there's a really good book I learned a lot from. It's called Lint Head Stomp, which is they called sometimes the mill workers lint heads because they had the cotton dust. They were breathing the cotton dust, and it was a hazardous, not like a silicosis, but it was still bad for your health, and a lot of bad conditions, of course, in labor at the time, working conditions and hours. And Georgia's still a right to work state. Oh, that means right to also not work, I guess.
Exactly. We talked about that last week, actually, the right to not get fair wages.
Yeah.
And not to unionize. That's what it means.
Right. So, but there still was a lot of labor movements and pushback as far as the working conditions, like they had we've got Cotton Mill Girl never went to school, learned to weave or learned to spin, learned to spool. And that was I harvested that verse from some other. There's a few of these verses I harvested from other cotton mill songs that they're traveling. They call them traveling verses because they fit in many songs. Mm-hmm. So that was one that I forget what song it comes from, but something I learned in this book was called that I learned a lot from was called Lint Head Stomp, and it was about music in the Piedmont of Carolinas. Charlie Poole and Dorsey Dixon from South Carolina, they had some mill worker songs too, like Cotton Mill Colic and I forget the other one. That's very famous. But you wanted to know about that? Oh yeah, so they'd call them dopes. They said, I'm gonna go get me some dope. That was Coca-Colers, as they call them here. Mm. So that was because that was a big tiramisu, as Elise would say, pick me up or pull me up. So they stepped out for a dope and a snack, and the foreman says 2 back to back. That means like 2 shifts, like you're going to do 2 shifts now because caught you taking a break. So then stepped out to get a drink of water. He docked me a quarter, which doesn't sound like much, but that was like back when that was probably half a day's wage or something like that. Let's see here. Then there was so then there's another issue comes up that was a common motif in some of the Georgia songs, which is about the company store, the sort of the monopoly, literally a fascist system, like where the stratified, like the corporation basically owned the town, owned the real estate, owned the commerce in the town, and could control totally price fix everything, and go up on the rent. So they didn't know what it meant when the wages went up a half a cent, but then they
what they had
they
to
also
buy
went
in
up
the
on the
store.
rent. Yeah. So you probably heard they used to call it the company store. So that was literally a company store. There's a lot of songs, several written about foreclosures and things like that, about the shanty town situations that they had, in the mill towns they'd call them, because they were literally you're pretty much working on a campus site. You're pretty much working in a mill town, which is like owned by the company. And so went up, raised the wages a few cents more, but they went up a nickel at the company store. So that was kind of the whole built-in inflationary cycle. So some of those songs that I recall are things like about the furniture man, about the situation where they would they'd let you buy stuff on time, and then they'd wait till, put them in a situation where they would default, and they would just take the stuff back. And so it was kind of a almost an indentured servitude of a sort, really, because they get them locked in, but which is indentured servitude is still going on. So it's really still still haven't done away with that. So any more information you'd like on this?
Well, I think it's really interesting that you learned from a lot of these old timers, but now you are really considered one of the old timers or one of the experts of this. You've done so much collecting of this music and creating your own versions, as you were talking about putting different verses together. You actually have 3 sons, all 3 of whom are amazing musicians and are also song collectors and have learned so much from you. You've been an incredible trainer for them, and they're out in the world now also spreading this music. And they're you have Evan, who's here in Atlanta, who not only plays all the instruments but also repairs instruments, builds instruments, and does all kinds of tech things. He was the recording engineer for Ready or Not. And then the middle son, Mickey, who lives in New Orleans, and he and his partner, Sasha, were on Daily Antidote. We were on the special birthday celebration for Carpe Diem. And then your youngest son...
Sees the carp.
Sees the carp, yes. And then your youngest son, Mo, or Moses, as he's known, is a traveling musician, and we never know where he is, but he is also spreading this music around and meeting all of the folks. And so your legacy, you've pulled from this amazing legacy and then created your own and are passing it along. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Better than calling it plagiarism.
Yes. Let me look in the chat.
Appropriation is we were.
I'm going to look in the chat and see if there's anything... questions for you. If anybody has any questions for Mick, let me see. Let's get some of those sons in here, definitely. All right. Well, I think it's time to go ahead and do the song again. And let's do the whole thing. And if you don't mind, I'm going to sing harmony on the chorus.
Should we try to keep it in the same key, or is anybody that votes for doing it in a different key?
How about Q flat?
Everybody was good with this key? We got... No, everybody's okay with the key.
I think we're good with the key, and I'm going to sing harmony. A family quartet
just
performance.
Just as proof of concept, like say that if I even went up to like a C, I say I could get those because it's such a small segment of the scale. I mean, it's pretty easy to do anywhere.
We have a request from someone in the chat to get you and all 3 of your boys. We'll just say that is a really challenging thing to do.
That would be a remote Zoom.
It may happen. We don't know. We'll see when people are traveling through.
Maybe in the next pandemic, perhaps.
Take it away, Mick.
But we're going to do it again in the same tempo? Okay, all right. So here we go. Now we know what it means. Here we go. In 1915, I heard it said, move to the city and you'll get ahead. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. From Gilmer to Bartow's a mighty long way. From Elijay down to Cartecay. It's a hard time in the cotton mill. It's a hard time everywhere. comes everywhere. That last one's got an extra line. She does. I think that's for Hetty. Pickle my bones and alcohol. It's hard times everywhere.
Good one. All right, so good to see everybody singing along with
Wish I could
it.
hear the fiddles. We got fiddles out there.
There's a flute player. Yep. There's a lot of percussion also. Look at that. Yep.
Wow.
Whew, and ukulele. Yep. Thank you, Mick.
Okay. Thank
I
you
am
all
going to sing
Thanks
our
for hosting.
farewells. Thank you, everyone, for singing with us today. Let's all wave goodbye to Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.